There may be snow on the ground, but it's 47 degrees out. And in Indiana, that means it's barbecue time. We're going to smoke some St. Louis style spare ribs in this episode of Travels with Delaney. Welcome back, everyone. Before we get this week's episode started, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please take time to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and don't forget that little bell right beside of it so you get notified each time we put out a new video. Also, if you want real-time updates, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can check out our new website, travelswithdelaney.com. All right, so this week it was the polar vortex. We actually got minus 50 wind chills, and here we are on Sunday, and it's 50 degrees outside. So it means it's time to fire up our Davy Crockett Green Mountain Smoker. And this week I picked up at Aldi's, which, as many of you know, is one of my favorite places to shop, picked up some of these St. Louis style spare ribs. Now, I really like these. These have become my new go-to for ribs on the smoker. I used to do the baby backs, but what I really like about these St. Louis style ribs is they're a little bit more meaty. And so we kind of prefer them. $1.99 a pound. We got about a 3.5 pound slab. So the other nice thing that I like about doing ribs is I can normally do ribs to the point that they are fall off the bone tender in about 3 hours. So a nice quick smoke for us. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep the ribs. I'm going to get the ribs out of the package. Now, one of the things I really like about these ribs is Aldi's brings them in fresh. They've never been frozen. And we have found that the pork at Aldi's has a very good flavor. Now, you'll find sometimes you'll buy pork and it just does not taste good. So I always think it's important, if you can find some place where you like the taste of the pork, that's probably where you want to purchase your ribs. So I'm going to just put down some plastic wrap on a cookie sheet. I'm going to go ahead and get my ribs out. Now, I know a lot of the professional smokers will actually remove the membrane on the back before cooking. I like to leave it on for cooking. That's just a personal preference. And then I will remove it at the end when I'm cutting them, and you'll find it pulls right off. So we'll go ahead and let me grab a towel here. We're all done with this. Set it aside. The rub that I'm going to use this week is from Texas. It's the Buckee's Rib and Barbecue Rub. Thank you to Uncle Dennis and Aunt Priscilla for this, one of my Christmas gifts. And I really like the Buckee's rub. Now, you can use any rub you want. Sometimes if I run out of the Buckee's, I like the Sticky Fingers, which is a chain down in like South Carolina. You can find them in Tennessee, Florida, places like that. I really like their rub. Four Rivers down in Florida, I like their rub. So there's all kinds of places, and sometimes I just run out of those specialty rubs, and I run right up here to town to the grocery store, and I can find Famous Dave's, and that works well. I have made my own before, but usually I just go out and buy one. So I'm going to be very generous with the rub on the ribs. So we'll go ahead. Just don't be cheap when it comes to the rub. In fact, I like my ribs as what we call a dry rib. So we won't even sauce them typically at the end. And then we'll just dip if we want the saucy flavor. All right. So I've got that on there, and I like to pat it in. I don't want all of that falling off. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip them over. I'm going to do it again on the back side. Go ahead, just get our seasoning. And again, very liberal with how much we're putting on. And I may even add a little at the end after we're done cooking. I just like that flavor of the actual rub. So there we go. Then what I like to do is go ahead and let's get this sealed up. And it's going to take another piece of our clear wrap, but let me wash my hands. Right, so go ahead. Get another piece here so we can wrap them up nice and tight. And now all wrapped up. Got my ribs ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and throw these back in the refrigerator and let them set while I get my smoker ready. Now, some people like to go ahead and put the spice on hours before. I find with the ribs that we're basically happy, or we are happy, with the way they come out. If I put this on maybe 30 minutes to an hour before the ribs are going to go on the smoker. Now, when it comes to smoking, in my opinion, there's not necessarily a right way. There may be better ways. But when you find a way that works for you, I'd say stick with it. And for me, I'm happy just getting the ribs ready and then going and getting the smoker ready. And by the time it's time to put them on, the flavor should be good. Okay, so put these in the refrigerator, and then we're going to head on outside and get our smoker fired up. All right, so I'm outside. I've got my Davy Crockett Green Mountain Grill smoker, and I'm going to link this video at the end of the current video. So when you get to the end, if you want to learn more about this smoker, I have a whole video on it. Absolutely love it. It's a pellet grill, and I'm going to be using today the Pit Boss fruit pellets. It's a combination of cherry, apple, and maple, and it actually goes just perfect with pork. So all I have to do is I got the hopper filled up. I'm just going to go ahead and turn on. Smoker takes care of the rest. We're going to wait for it to get up to temperature. Now I'm going to try to run these at about 225. But what I've found is with this smoker, I actually run a second thermometer just to double check it. So I'm going to actually set this around 200, and we'll use my second thermometer to see where it's at. Usually 200 puts me right about 225. So we'll let it warm up, and when it gets to temperature, we'll throw those ribs on. All right, the smoker is at my desired temperature, so let's go ahead and throw on this beautiful slab of St. Louis style spare ribs. So just go ahead and take them off. Now I'm going to put the meat side up, the skin side down. Just get them right there on the smoker. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and insert my meat probe. Try to keep it away from the bone, get it in the meaty section, and close the lid, and let's let the smoker do its magic. Now, the plan is I usually smoke these for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I'm going to pull them, I'm going to wrap them in foil, may go ahead and do a little dusting of my seasoning, let them cook for another hour. That's going to make them really tender, and then we'll pull them, let them rest, cook them, or cut them, and then we will eat them. Although we do have the option when we get done after the foil cooking, we can take them out of the foil, we can sauce them if we want to, and let the sauce glaze before we eat them. So we'll be back here in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we'll wrap them. All right, we're just a little over 2 hours of smoking, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. Ribs are looking good, so we're going to go ahead and wrap them. I'm going to pull my thermometer out of my meat. I've got my cookie sheet with my foil. There's our ribs so far. Now they're not done yet. We're going to finish them wrapped in foil. It's going to help to really tenderize them. So just go ahead and pull the foil up and over. Wrap them up nice and tight. Now we're going to throw them back into the smoker. I also threw a baked potato on earlier. That way we can have that to go with our ribs tonight. So go ahead and I'm going to reinsert my thermometer. Close it up. We're going to let that cook for at least another hour, and we'll actually check the meat temperature to see where it's at before we pull them for the final time. All right, time to let it cook. All right, we've had these on now for about 3 hours and 20 minutes. Internal temperature is 194 on the ribs, so it's time to go ahead and pull these ribs off. just going to go ahead, use my UGG glove. Got my cookie sheet. Take our ribs out, and we'll grab that baked potato as well. And I can go ahead and shut my smoker down. And we'll go on inside and we're going to take a look at these. All right, now we've got our ribs inside. Let's go ahead and carefully open them up. Oh, and be careful, there's going to be lots of juice. Pull that back. There we go. Those look really good. So now what we can do is I'm going to let them rest, but I know they're done. When you can start seeing the bones pulling out like this, I don't know if you can see that there. That's how we know they're ready. So I'm going to let them rest. And again, we're going to leave these dry. We kind of like ours without the sauce on, and then we'll just have the sauce on the side. I'm going to take a little more of my Buckee's seasoning. I'm just going to give them a nice little sprinkle on top. There we go. We are ready. Right up here off of that cutting board. Cookie sheet out of the way. There you go. Ribs done on our Green Mountain Davy Crockett smoker. And now the real test. I'm just going to go ahead, find it between a bone. There we go. Right in between. Real test here. Oh yeah, we've got a real nice smoke ring. And I guess the real test. Excellent. So there you go. There's our ribs, nice and tender. They're going to pull right off those bones. Got a real nice smoke ring. And that's how I do ribs on my smoker. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. And until next time, everybody, happy smoking, and we'll see you on down the road. Good night. Good ribs.